today it's all going to be about photography, and one thing I really love to do is photography of food. So I have a few things that I have set up that I think are going to play really good on color and texture. I have a few props like this bowl and maybe a handkerchief that I'll put down, and I actually have a small science fair board that really helps with the lighting. So let's do this. So the first thing I'm going to do is set up my base for my food picture. And in this case, this is an overnight chia seed pudding, which is very good for you, very nutritious and very healthy. It's something that I really enjoy eating. So I'm going to start with the base of this, and now I'm going to add all my toppings. So just a couple of things. I chose to put these cacao nibs, which is an unsweetened chocolate, right along the edge, and then the hemp seeds right here along the side of that, because they are high contrast. So they are very different in color, and so I thought those two would look really nice together. Over here I tucked in some frozen blueberries, and then I have some frozen strawberries, and I chose these not only for taste, but they really come out great in color, which you will see. And then I just tucked in some cashew butter right over the top, making sure I could still see the base of the chia seed pudding. Now let's talk about setting up the picture and the background. We've always spoken about the foreground. Now we're going to talk about the background. And in this case, the background is what the dish is sitting on. So over here, I have a cutting board, and it's a nice light colored wood, but I really want to play on the colors of the strawberries. So I found this beautiful patterned bandana, and I'm just going to put it in a way that might not be right at first, but then I can play around with it. I'm going to take my bowl and I'll set it in the center. And now what I like to do is maybe add a couple of other things around the background that really play off on the ingredients that are in the bowl. Placed a few more of those frozen strawberries over here on the side. I might remove them, I might not, but for now I'm going to keep them there. And I like to set up my dish near a window where I get some nice natural light. However, because this side, the left side of my dish, doesn't have a lot of light, that's when this science board comes into play. So because it's a white back, it's really going to reflect a lot of the light onto my dish. So as you can see here, with the board and without the board, you see the difference? So there it is without my science board, and here it is with the science board. So it's a very slight difference, but definitely you get much brighter colors. Now I'm just going to take a few pictures, and maybe I'll do one picture making sure I could see the whole spoon. So I might turn it this way. I like how this kind of makes my eye come into the picture, around it, and then back around. Or I might take a few shots like this, maybe one like this, and I might have my hand in it, maybe I don't. So I'm going to take a few shots. Once I have the shots, we're going to play around with the color. Before I start taking pictures, I want you to think about how you can zoom in on it. You see the difference? If I zoom in on it, I could really see the textures. I can see how the strawberries are still kind of got the frost from the freezer, or I can move out. I can change the direction of it. So that's one thing you want to think about when you are taking photos. What part of this looks most delicious to you in this case, because it is food, or most interesting? And you can take a few different shots, and then once you decide on your favorite one, then you can start playing with the colors. Okay, so let's talk about editing. Editing is changing what something looks like and trying to make it better. So like when you write a paper, you have a sloppy copy and then you edit it, you have a rough draft and then you edit it and you make it better. That's the same for photographs. So this is my cell phone. This is the picture that I took. I'm going to tap on it, and right up here in the corner it says edit. So I'm going to edit it. Now the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure, that you have everything you want on the screen. Now I could leave my picture like this, or I can take my two fingers, put them down and zoom into it to make it look a little bit more interesting. Maybe I want to focus on something in particular, or have it come off the edge of the paper like that. We've spoken about that a lot. I'm going to keep it just as it is for now. And I am going to now start working on the exposure, which is the color, and the light. So right down here, you're going to notice this first little dial. If you click on that, it's going to give you the options to change different things. So the exposure is the light. You have brilliance, you have highlights, and what I like to do, and you can scroll through it when you have more time, I like to go all the way from one side to the other side to really get an idea of what that actual bubble does for you. So for example, the exposure you saw, if I go to the right, it's going to make it really, really bright, too bright. If I go all the way to the left, it's going to make it really, really dark, and I'm going to take it right back to the middle where it says 0. If I keep scrolling through these little bubbles, you're going to see these that have colors on them. So for example, I'm going to go to saturation. Saturation is how much a color has. So how red is your red? How yellow is your yellow? So something like that. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to play around with going all the way to the right, and I'm going to play around with it going all the way to the left, just to get an idea, again, of what each one of these bubbles will do for your picture. If you want, when you come back to this here, and you go all the way to the beginning, you're going to see this one. See how it says auto? So if you click on this one, it's going to automatically adjust it for you. So I'm going to click on it so you can see. You see how it brightened it up? So you can either have the camera do it for you, or you unclick it and you can do it yourself. This one down here with the 3 little dots, this one will change the whole picture on its own without having the ability to do it one step at a time. So it'll give it even the name of the color. So this one's vivid, which means really, really bright, vivid, warm, cool, and you could keep going until you can even make it in black and white. Again, you can choose what you want it to be. If you don't like it, you just go back to your original. Right here, this one is where you can change either the balance of it or like the tilt. So for example, this right here, you see how it looks like the little planet Saturn? It's got a little line in it. I can go all the way to the left, or I can go all the way to the right. Or I'm just going to bring it right back to the center, okay? But you see how it opened it up a little bit too? So again, I can pinch back so I can look at the whole thing. This one here, again, play with it, see what it does. So it changes the angle of it. I never really use that one very much. And then this one here, play with it again. It changes the angle in the opposite direction. So I don't really use this one that much. You can feel free to use any of these that you like, and there's amazing apps, but I wanted to keep it simple for you guys today. So what I'm going to do is I like to choose my own saturation, my own exposure, my own lighting. So instead of clicking on the auto, which will give me what Apple wants, mine's an Apple phone. I'm sure Samsung has a great, and this is, boys and girls, this is an old iPhone 7, so yours are probably much fancier than mine. I'm going to go right here to the next one, exposure. Remember, go back and forth so that you can see what that exactly does for your photo. I'm going to give it a little bit more light, not too much because it was a nice sunny day, and maybe just a little bit less. I'm going to click on this one, brilliance. Let's see, it's going to make it more brilliant. I think maybe just a little bit to really make those strawberries stand out. Highlights, I think I'm going to keep it at 0. Shadows, I really don't have shadows. Contrast, do I want things to really look different? Do I want the white to really stand out from the red? Not so much, not in this picture. Brightness, I think it's pretty bright as it is. Black point, I really like the saturation, so I'm going to move the saturation a bit to really make those strawberries stand out. You see that? Look at that. How pretty is that? Okay. And vibrance, let's see. Oh yeah, that's pretty. And warmth. And I think I'm going to leave it at that, so I'm going to click done. And it's going to save for me. Now, let's say you did this, but you weren't happy with it. You can always go back, and you can always click revert, and it's going to take it right back to the original picture, the way it originally was. So I'm going to show you before and after.